You ever felt like grabbing a sledgehammer and letting Megan know that you're changing out the cabinets in your own way?
Oh, absolutely. All the time. All the time. But
So you guys differ on a lot of stuff that you talk about?
Oh, yeah. We disagree. We have to have constructive conversations pretty regularly.
Welcome to Flipping Filthy. We're your hosts. I'm Dustin Bruce.
And I'm Megan Willoughby.
We want to take you on this journey where we share with you some of the craziest flip stories that we've had in the past 15 years of flipping homes.
And we're going to take you through the home runs, the mistakes that we've made, and all of the crazy things that we've done while flipping houses.
So let's go. Hey everybody, welcome to Flipping Filthy, the podcast where we like to share our success stories, but more importantly, we like to talk about our failures and the things that we could have done a lot better in hopes of helping you and your flip projects out in the future. I'm your host, Dustin Bruce.
And Megan Willoughby.
And today we have a special guest with us, and that is Bethanie Fritz. Hey, Bethanie.
Hey, Dustin. Hey, Megan. Thanks for having me.
No problem.
I'm really excited to be here.
Well, we're really excited to have you because we really want to talk about project management today. I think project management is something that is really overlooked by new investors and flippers that are getting into the industry. They think they can tackle everything on their own until they dive into their first one and realize that maybe they've got in a little bit over their head. So we're really looking for your insight today on this, and I'm really happy that you're here. I know that you handle a lot of projects for Megan. So why don't you tell us, how did this start with you and Megan? How did you become Megan's property manager for Evolution Properties?
It's a long story. How far back do you want to go?
Exactly. I was going to say, where do we want to start? So Megan and I have a pretty complex history, so I'm not going to go way far back. However, I did used to work with Megan, 13 years ago now. That's when we first met. Actually, I was her teacher in school many years ago, and then she brought me onto her business as a consultant for several years, while she could actually dive into real estate. So I took over managing her company, and then she got into this business. Fast forward many years, we went our separate ways. I was in hospital administration, where I was doing project management on a much different level, right? I had lots of teams of people and contractors and electricians and doctors and nurses and technicians that I was running in the day-to-day. And then COVID hit, and it was so difficult to run a hospital and a practice and manage people and emotions. And my best friend here, Megan, she really saw me struggling, and she came to me and gave me the opportunity to rejoin her team in a new capacity and embrace my creative side, and actually where I have my background in project management. And so that's how we got here today.
Okay, so here's another question, and this one's for Megan. Bringing a project manager in to help you out with your flips, what did that allow you to do more of?
So it gave me a lot more time. And time is really important at some point in a person's life. They find that having more time is better than having more money. And so with me, I now have shortened work hours. I get to enjoy my life a lot more. I get more relaxation time. I can recoup, and then I can also focus on trying to find the properties. So I have now, my role is to find the houses, and her role is to manage the houses.
Someone on the outside looking in at you guys, I think that you hit the nail on the head right there. And that is that your job is really acquisition.
Correct.
Because you have got to do multiple properties at a time, and they've got to be in different stages, different cycles, whether they've just been purchased or they're under construction or they've been listed on the market. But to really make this work as, a seamless business for yourself, you have to be on top of acquisitions at all times. And if you're managing your projects and managing the contractors and trying to figure all this out on one particular project, I know from personal experience that that's absolutely going to be able to ruin everything that you're trying to do on the acquisition side, which is the most important thing. We've talked about it before on our podcast here, is that the flips projects, they're all about acquisition. You got to get the properties at the right price. So when you said it gave you more time and more enjoyable life, that's a big thing. But I've seen you guys work as someone on the outside looking in, and I think you've got something really good going on here with having a project manager, but also you've done a great job with the acquisitions of these properties.
And it's all about timing. So it's she schedules the finish of the project we're working on. So I know in my head, okay, it's going to go on the market. It's going to take a few weeks for it to get an offer, or a few days or a few hours, as we're in this market right now, as things are going off the shelf like that. Then it's okay, when it closes, and I know I have to have the next property available in a couple of days so we can keep the contractors rolling through, so we can keep the cash flowing, so I can make income in order to pay the overhead expenses for the company. And so it's
Let me ask you something right there. You brought up a good point. Before we get into asking Bethany some questions, I want to talk to you a little bit about your timing with these projects. Okay. You guys obviously see each other almost every day, I'm assuming, right?
Multiple times a day.
But the timing of these projects, like you said, and making sure that you've got enough for the crew coming up. So one thing I want to make very apparent to everybody who might be listening to our podcast, which probably just includes our parents, but do you own and operate your own construction company?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
We are a on-paper contractor. So
Sure.
we hire subs. So
Okay,
it's
so-
not swinging the hammer ourselves and doing the work ourselves, but it is,
So you don't have any contractors that are employees.
no.
You are a licensed contractor yourself. However, you're subbing the work out to other licensed contractors.
Correct.
Okay. That's a very big thing for people to understand and know. I even, one point in my career when I was flipping, and this must have been like 6-7 years ago, I thought it would be really easy for me to have a construction company to help me out with my projects. And looking back on it, it was actually one of the worst things I ever did. And I absolutely hated it. I mean, if you really wanted to make more time for yourself and enjoy your life, starting up and operating a construction company is not one of those things. So I'm happy to hear that, that's how you guys are operating. So you are a contractor, but you do sub pretty much everything out to other people. So I just kind of wanted to bring that up here for anybody who might be listening. But you know what? Let's dive in with some questions to Bethany. Okay. And the first thing I'm kind of wondering is when Megan acquires a new property, okay, and it's time for you to see it for the first time, right? So what is step one for you when you're presented with this new property?
What?
Surprise!
Yes, Megan is right. It's always a surprise. I never know what I'm going to get. For the most part, she's going to send me a budget ahead of time. So I'm going to review the budget, see what we're looking at. Megan's going to have a conversation with me, give me her thoughts, and then I go with a open mind. Always
So let's
an
talk
open
about
mind.
the budget. So do you ever get Megan's budget sent over to you and you're like, what the hell are you thinking here?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? Megan's a professional. She's been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
So we generally come in pretty close to budget. We've absolutely made some errors in judgment. I think that's just kind of par for the course, but it's all about communication and trust the process. She'll always say that. But yeah, I go in with an open mind. I keep my hands in my pockets most of the time. I wear proper shoes. And if you know Megan, you know what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
And you just go experience it.
So how do you guys work well together on these projects? Because I know she's in charge of acquisition and you're in charge of the project management. But
Yep.
like I said, I've been on the outside looking in and
Yep.
seeing this. And I know that Megan is also pretty involved
Yep.
in the projects at certain times and
Yep.
certain stages. But like, how do you guys
Yep.
like work together on these projects? And I know there's a lot of communication, but is there
Yeah.
anything else that...
Yeah, I think we recognize where our strengths are between the two of us. She's absolutely all about the money, and I am responsible for the money and for spending the money in the day to day. And so I am the business manager. That's how I always consider myself. And I am the relationship builder. So whether it's a relationship with our subs, right? So our electricians, our plumbers, our contractors, the neighbors, whatever that looks like, I am the representation of the business. And so we recognize that in each other. I also love time management. I handle all the calendars. I have brought us up into the 21st century we are in the 21st century, right? No, I feel like I'm dating myself, right, when I say that. And so I've brought us forward into the future. We use our data. We use technology. We make sure that our subs are all using iPhones, hopefully. And yeah.
Okay, we won't go into that too much, but I definitely want to know a little bit about the technology.
Like iPhones? Yeah, we
Okay.
can tell you all about that.
So tell me a little bit about the other technology, maybe some of the platforms or how, do you use some of this technology to communicate on or to have your budgets on or something? Because I think that is a really good topic to really talk about is the technology, some of the stuff that you guys use. What does that look like for maybe some new people getting into the industry?
I think get online, right? So you're going to want to be competent in using an Excel spreadsheet. You're going to want to be confident and competent in using your calendars. You want to be able to make sure that the subs you're working with also, have the understanding for that, because we use FaceTime a lot. We want to be able to get onto a site and say, hey, here's a problem. I'm going to get Megan on the phone. I'm going to get the contractor on the phone. And we're able to just flip that camera around and use our technology and solve a problem right then and there. Most of our subs will use different, scheduling softwares and things like that, where we can also link right through and pay. We can look at the estimates right away. We can look at their bids. We can challenge things. We can remind them of something. I think just making sure you're not just using pen and paper anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys help a lot of the subs out with maybe some of this technology? I know a lot of the contractors that are out there, they're working really hard on the houses, but some don't really have the time to be at the certain level that you guys are at. But I would assume that you're probably requiring that a lot of these subs and whatnot are communicating and participating on some of these platforms with you.
It saves a lot of time because they're not making the mistakes. They're not falling through the cracks with, I thought it was Tuesday and not Wednesday that we're supposed to show up. And then that pushes everything back because we run our calendar hour by hour. We might have somebody coming in and cleaning in the morning, and then we're having staging in the afternoon, and the next morning we're having photos. And then the next day after that, it's okay, we're going to do final punch list items that might happen outside if the weather is a little crazy. So it's hour by hour, not day by day, because day by day can cost a lot of money and interest and expenses. The market can change. I just got off the phone today with a client person of mine and said, hey, we're in a hot market right now. Get it on the market. If you're going to delay 4 days, you could have 2,000 people decide to put their house on the market on Thursday. I'm getting photos on Friday. You're going on the market on Saturday, and you're too late. Don't be too late.
That's good.
So that's how we feel is push, push, push.
Yeah. I mean, we just came off a run of 8 projects that 3 were going live a week, every other week. And my calendar was insane. I have it color coded by project. I have it color coded by sub. It literally is hour by hour. It's insane. And if you're not up to speed with that, you do get left behind.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, let me switch topics just a little bit. Let me talk to you about with the project. How do you really determine what you're going to replace or refurbish without, blowing the budget out of context, right? We're in the business. We're really in the business of flipping houses. And we're not in the business of new construction, right? So with a lot of these properties, how do you stay in budget without the buyers actually thinking that you're putting lipstick on a pig, so to speak?
Right. That's such a great question, because when I first started, I was like, oh my gosh, everything has to be new. I want everything new. I want appliances. I want counters. I want cabinets. I want everything new in the house. And Megan's like, I'm going to fire you. If that's where we're going, you're out of a job. So I learned to reel it in and also see when we get to the final sale process, what was important to those buyers. And it's having a safe, comfortable home to live in, right? Yeah. And so obviously we're gonna put new flooring in. We're gonna replace cabinets most of the time. Appliances always get switched out, especially if they're white or some other random color that somebody has painted them. But yeah, I mean, if I feel like I'm stumbling on myself here.
Well, health and safety concerns.
Health and safety, always health and safety.
We'll do vapor barrier and insulation. That isn't
attic,
something that people see.
Yeah,
they don't walk into a house and say, "Oh gosh, wow, you rewired the whole entire house," and you know.
So furnaces as necessary, hot water tanks. If they're older than 15, 20 years, most things are going to get swapped out because it's going to get called out in inspection anyway. Yeah,
and you have a budget going into the project, which means Megan's already visited it. She's already put the budget together. Now she's given it to you, and now you're standing there and you're trying to figure out, how do I not blow this budget, but how do I have incorporate this into the project because this wasn't seen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I know that happens from time to time. I mean, there is a contingency. Yes. I know that.
Contingencies, but not always. Sometimes we forget things, and then we have to have really strong conversations with our subs, like with our electricians, with our plumbers, with our flooring, and just say, hey, we're at this point where we weren't planning for something. We had an emergency. What can we do on the budget on your point, right? How can we work together? I like to think of that as volume scheduling, volume pricing, right? You know you're going to keep working with us. So what can we do here? Help each other out. It's about building a relationship.
The relationships that you've made and kept these people along the way.
Yes.
And, they're working consistently with you as you are with them. So sometimes when you need a favor, they're more apt to give you that favor than someone that's never met you before.
We do so much work behind the scenes that no one even thinks about until the inspector goes through. And if we missed that and didn't do it, as to Megan's point, like the vapor barrier, the insulation in the attic, sometimes there's
bathroom fans.
Yeah, it's like the bathroom fans, the microwave vent, properly doing some of those things, they cost us money and time on the back end. Yeah. And that's where
and those are items that you just mentioned that sometimes you're not really thinking of those things, but as you do more projects, you're always seeing those things and you're always realizing.
Yes.
So,
and those are really, it's such a good point, Dustin, because we now have 3 crews that we work with. So I have 3 crews under me. That sounded really bad, but we have 3 crews that I get to work with. And those are the little details that they also will come back to say, hey, they don't want to have to go back 2 weeks later and fix something when they've already moved on to the next project. They want, that door gets closed. They want to get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
And so to have to be like, oh, we forgot to do a fan in the bathroom, or, oh, we needed to put the proper venting in for the micro. They hate that shit. And so now it's also in their mind and it's automatically done. What are the things we automatically do?
Okay, but at the same time, I mean, there's automatically these things that you do, but you can't blow the budget, right? So you can't sometimes do everything. Yeah. So one of the complaints I have, and not really a complaint, but I would say more the things that kind of get to me a little bit is when you put this nice product on the market and then you have maybe brokers coming through the open houses or maybe writing an offer even, and they bring up one little thing that you didn't do.
Yeah.
Right. And it might be a window that just had a broken seal. Maybe it was still a good window. It just was fogged up and maybe had a broken seal. Now you've went ahead and put $80,000 of new product and material throughout the house. But then you get the comment like, well, why didn't you just replace this window?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that kind of gets me because like I said, you can keep going. You can always keep going, keep replacing, keep fixing new stuff. But if you do that, and at the end, your net profit is $5,000 after 2 months of work and putting it on the market, then there's no point in even flipping.
Well, and at that point, too, that if a buyer's agent is being really nitpicky, then they should go buy new construction and their person can spend $75,000 more in a house.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe a little bit more than that, huh? Okay, I got a great question for you guys.
Uh-oh.
And this is for both of you.
Okay.
Well, this may be from Bethany a little bit more.
Oh, no.
So I know these projects can be tough from time to time, and I'm sure both of you differ on how things should be done. So Bethany, have you ever felt like grabbing a sledgehammer and letting Megan know that you're changing out the cabinets in your own way?
Oh, absolutely. All the time. All the time. But
so you guys differ on a lot of stuff that you talk about?
Oh, yeah. We disagree. We have to have constructive conversations pretty regularly. And I feel like we've learned how to adapt through that. I've learned what she's looking for. She knows what I think is important in a flip to bring character to a home, and we work through it. But oh my gosh, all the time. Sorry, all the time. I think people are surprised.
Have you ever maybe taken that sledgehammer and accidentally hit the cabinet and been like, oops, I guess we need a new cabinet.
Yeah, that something was damaged. That might have happened like with a mirror or something like that, of like something that, we shouldn't save it, or, you want to save it, but it would look better if it was something else, like framed in or something. Yeah, sure. I think that might have happened.
Okay. All right. That's good to know.
I want to be like, do I plead the fifth? I don't know. But, sometimes I think that about some of our contractors as well, right? We've said, hey, we're going to save this, and then magically it ends up in the dumpster and we have to buy a new one. And sometimes I wonder if that's actually happening. Is that they're just like, that is so ugly, or there's no way that it's gonna fit in the finished product.
Yeah.
And it magically disappears.
They've made the decision for you.
Yes, 100%. I think you probably agree that's happened.
Yeah, that's happened.
Yeah. And are we okay with that sometimes? Because you trust the people that are working for you?
You gotta trust everyone.
Yeah. So you got a lot of different contractors that are coming on site.
Yeah.
Right. From flooring to countertops and
Yeah.
kitchen and everything. There's so many different people that we can use in this. So a question I have for you is, when the contractors are coming on site, do you have any requirements for the contractors to be on your job sites at all?
We have to be on time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. On time, communicate well, communicate well, have a good sense of humor, because I think I'm funny and she's definitely funny. So
I definitely think I'm funny.
Okay. Well, I think she's funny. Anyway, have a good sense of humor. But yeah, be on time, be trustworthy. Also come to us with ideas. We're not our way or the highway kind of company at all. And everybody comes with their own set of skills, and I want to take advantage of those skills. And a lot of that comes with, being able to talk to each other.
Yeah, I like that with contractors, is when they also have a vision. And so sometimes when you're stuck with something, maybe they have a vision or a way that they've done it in the past that you weren't quite thinking of. And I know that's happened to me, quite a few times where it's been good ideas. But then again, it's also about having the right people around you.
Yes.
And I know that that's not always easy.
Yeah.
That you do go through these contractors sometimes because, they might be really good for one project, and then the next project, maybe they're just got a little too comfortable and now they're not conforming to what you guys are asking them to do. So, for the people that might be listening to this right now, in terms of working with the contractors and having them on site, I know timing is a huge thing. But I do have a question, like, do you make them sign any disclosures or documents, or, hold harmless or anything like that? I mean, it might be a little different because you guys actually have your own contracting company. Yeah. Right? So
they do need to be licensed.
You have your own E&O insurance.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. And they also need that too.
They need that.
They'll need their license, contractor's license and insurance to go along with that.
Yeah.
So
Okay. And we do have them bid out for the different line items on our bids. So they'll come through, we'll walk through a project, we'll present them with the budget, and depending on what they're doing, they're actually going to provide us with an estimate. So with just having that, we have that agreement as well.
So you like your estimates like a la carte. You want to see the line items, you want to see everything on there and broken down to kind of what it's going to cost to do this or that. Yeah. And you're going to determine from those line items whether or not you're going to do that part of the project or not.
Or use them for
that part of the project.
Yeah.
Or use them.
Sometimes we'll switch, some of the smaller things we'll switch contractors because we know that they can go in and on a weekend and get the work done, where the other contractor might say, well, gosh, my guys can't get to it for 4 days. Well, time is money, we're going to switch it up.
Yeah.
I gotcha. That's good. So have you ever shown up at a new purchase by Megan and not only wondered why she's wearing flip-flops, but also thought to yourself, why the hell would you buy this ugly thing?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I can... Every flip practically. No, sometimes they're beautiful on the outside and you walk in and you go, what the heck? But the ones where you drive up and you're just like, the banjo's playing, you're out, ding, 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 ding.
No cell service.
And yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to say, I love Granite Falls, but it feels like Granite Falls projects tend to look like that. Yeah.
Well, we've talked about this in other episodes too. But the properties that you want to acquire to flip, I mean, you do want them ugly.
Yeah.
You do want them
uglier the better.
Because that's how you're probably going to make most of your profit. Because the uglier, the more beat up they are, generally you're going to get a better price on those. Yeah. Right? So most of the acquisitions that you buy, Megan, would you say that they're pretty distressed out?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what about the ones that aren't? I mean, do you get any projects where maybe you just have to do a few things and you're putting it back on the market?
Sure, and those are usually a tighter project. So there's a little bit lower income on it. It's a lower budget. It's a house that we've taken to really keep everybody busy. And then, of course, in the market like this, you get multiple offers and it sells for more. And I think, gosh, that wasn't such a bad house. And then they begin like, darn it, why did I do this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that. When you're flipping houses, and I know that the market changes from time to time, and I know a market that is hot right now in terms of multiple offers coming in on properties, I still would recommend to every investor that is out there that you are not putting potential inflation into the number of the house from the time you bought it. Right. Okay, so when you're doing your numbers from the very beginning and you're doing your market analysis on that property, that is the purchase price that you should really be having in your head the whole time. Yep. You're not thinking that the purchase price you put there is based on the project being done in 2 or 3 months and what could it be worth at that time. I think that is a very risky gamble for every investor to do, and it only takes one project and the market to turn one time before that wipes out a lot of net profit proceeds, maybe part of the bank account that you've been building up to do more projects and stuff like that. Would you say that you kind of feel the same way when you're doing your evaluations and before you get to the market?
Yeah, so we have a house in Granite Falls that sold. It probably took about $100,000 loss on it, and that ate up the next 3 profits of the next projects. And so it's tough because you think I did 4 just to get 0. 4 to get 0.
Yeah.
But we also kept our teams busy and they didn't go elsewhere. Right. So then they're ready to jump in on our next project. They believe in us. They trust that we're gonna take care of them, and because we would be sunk if they all went elsewhere.
So are the contractors that you're subbing out with, are they working for other investors as well? Okay, but you guys are just scheduling in the way that you need them. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to say we get priority, but when you have 6, 7, 8 houses going, at any given stage, all year long, we keep it running forward.
So as the project manager, are you involved in any way after the project is pretty much completed and now it's time to get this property ready for the market? I mean, are you involved with the scheduling of any of these people, or are you on to the next project at that point?
You mean scheduling of people?
Well, once the project is done, right? You had talked 5 minutes ago about the fact that you're going to have the house cleaner in there.
Oh, that's all me. Yeah.
Okay, so the house cleaner, the stagers.
Yep, I take care of all of that and the destaging. Yeah, I run any appointment that goes through the house from the second we acquire it and we get the keys. I'm managing the whole thing. I also will, if say something comes up on inspection or there's an agreed upon term with the buyer, I will go and make sure that gets taken care of as well. And that's where having that relationship, I think, really helps, because Megan already is on to the next one.
Yeah, and that's a really good point that you bring up is once you get to that inspection phase, right? Once you get to that inspection phase and they come back and they ask for some other things, then you are making some callbacks to some of the contractors and doing more scheduling and trying to get them in. So you handle all that as well and get that done.
Yeah. And landscapers, everything. I love it. I mean, it satisfies that like really anal retentive part of my brain where I like organization, but I love the creativity. I like the relationships that I have with people. I think that, relationships are definitely undervalued in this industry, and so if you can't communicate well and get along with people, they're going to go elsewhere.
What's the toughest part about being a project manager for someone like Megan, where you guys are running multiple projects at any given time?
Oh, I don't know. The toughest part will probably be that it's 24/7, and I like to be busy. My brain is always thinking, but Megan and I will wake up in the middle of the night and it's like, oh, she's online, I'm online, and we'll be going back and forth talking about lighting or talking about money. Like, we're always thinking business. So for someone who would also like to have a personal life or downtime or vacation, it's really hard to do because I find this to be so engaging and fun. Like, I love this industry. Toughest part, as in like maybe a negative, would be
you have 0 time to do anything at all, ever.
What? Oh, that's the best part. Yeah, no, what are you talking about? Yeah, this has been the best. Now you got me all kerfuffled in my brain. Yeah. This has been such a great experience, but I'm trying to think of like working with crews and individuals, like what is the toughest is I just think everybody having the same vision. Not everybody has the vision, and sometimes you just have to get them to do what you want.
Or they don't appreciate you.
Or they don't appreciate us. Yeah. Me specifically.
Okay. So as women in an industry that is filled with male contractors and I'm sure a lot of people think they know more and better than you do.
Yes.
Right. Do you guys face that a lot?
Not so much with the younger contractors, but some of the older contractors are definitely coming from that old school mentality. Women should definitely be at home cooking dinner.
And they're surprised to see 2 successful real estate flipping business women that are out here at these properties and handling everything.
We can't possibly know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. There has been, mansplaining a lot, and I hate that term, but it fits. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, I mean, I think you guys, have done a great job. And I know that, I can't even put a count on the number of houses that you've both done together I mean, it's got to be way up there.
Yeah.
And I know that I personally have worked with you on a couple projects, and you are fantastic at the property management aspect of these jobs. I mean, it is pretty incredible to find someone that can be that detail oriented and still be able to schedule everything that you guys have been going through, and you especially have done with your scheduling. So that's huge. I think you guys have something really special going on, and I don't think there's anything stopping you. It's going to be interesting to see how this just keeps going and how it progresses, and and where this eventually goes. One thing that I always like to tell some of the real estate brokers is that they try to branch out so much that they're never good at one thing. And one thing I really respect about both of you and what you are doing especially is you find a way to stay in your lane. And by doing that, you have gotten more successful and more successful as months and years, go on. So I think you guys are putting a lot of really good, projects together. And I know the people that are buying the projects are really happy, with their homes too. So I congratulate you on that. You are very good at what you do. And you made a very good hire with this project manager.
I did.
I feel so special.
I mean, everybody likes to surround themselves with the right people, the people that can help them grow and make them successful. And I think you did that.
And it's admitting to what my weaknesses are and filling that gap with someone who does not have that same weakness. So thank you.
I can have the difficult conversations that need to be had in the day to day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, and leave her to be the happy-go-lucky.
Yeah, she's by far a better person manager, people manager. I'm a good money manager, but she's a good people manager. And so we're totally...
That's great. Well, I want to thank you personally for being here with us today on our podcast, Flipping Filthy. We definitely love to talk about all these stories and all the different aspects with flipping. And that's what we're trying to give everybody here is a little bit of education. And I know that there's a million people out there that are talking about flipping and doing flipping. But I mean, ultimately, we have been flipping for a long time. I mean, we're, in terms of the company itself, I would say we're 14 years into flipping. So we were flipping before the flipping became cool on HGTV and all that stuff. But it's kind of cool to see, when people are brought into it and they really attach themselves to it, like Megan did, and where they take it. And so surrounding yourself with the right people, which you did, has obviously made you more successful. So congratulate you both for everything that you've done. And Bethany, I just wanted to say thank you for being here with us today. Megan, I had a lot of fun. Thank you for letting us borrow your project manager for today.
Now get back to work.
And for all of you that are listening, hey, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. Click the thumbs up below. We'd love to have your comments and hear more from you. And from Megan and myself and our guest today, Bethanie Fritz, we'd just like to say thank you for following the Flipping Filthy podcast. And we promise to give you more in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.